What up, what nuts and Humpty Dump Nuts? It is Thursday, October 3rd, and this is What Chaos presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code WhatChaos and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game. My name is DJ Bean, Pete's name is Pete Blackburn, and Sean's name is Sean DePaz. Hi, boys.
What's up? What's up?
Hey, howdy.
Hey.
Hello,
the embargo
hello.
has been lifted on FACEOFF, the Amazon docuseries that, honestly, it's just always going to be the Amazon series to me because it's their fault for revealing a name late or coming up with a name late.
Yeah.
We knew it as Amazon until like an hour ago.
I knew it as forecheck for about like 2 months.
You knew it as the wrong thing, but that they never said it was forecheck, right? Forecheck would be a bad name.
I don't know. We'll see.
Should have just called it Drive to Survive Hockey.
I'll also say, like, one of the worst things about it is its name. FaceOff is a bad name for it. The series is great. I'm not crazy about FaceOff for it.
You did raise a good point that famously there's no movie that's ever been called Face Off.
There's no media known as FaceOff.
No.
But I understand, much like as the embargo was lifted, we can talk about it today. This is very well made for everybody. So for newcomers, like face-off is just a hockey term. They're not going to know every single hockey term. So face-off, they can wrap their head around. But on today's show, we will not only discuss the things that we're now allowed to discuss because you're allowed to talk about the show in great detail. So we'll talk about that, specifically Jeremy Swayman and also Connor McDavid's famous outburst. The showrunner and executive producer of the show, Daniel Amigone, will join us. And it was a very, very big night last night for our friend Beckett Sennecke because we saw him play hockey and we found out what he sounds like. And his voice is wildly different than what you would think. And lastly, we will celebrate our favorite Minnesota hockey team. It is not the Wild because they did something very cool and has won us all over. But
Your favorite Minnesota hockey team.
Let's not put words in your other two show people's mouths.
Shout out the Minnesota Frost.
Oh, that was not what
I was going to say, what's yours, the PWHL?
No.
That's what the Minnesota Frost is.
I'm not going to ride with the Gophers after what they pulled, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, no, I think it was a very, very cool move.
We'll get to it later.
It's got us talking about a Minnesota hockey team on this show, which is typically not our want.
I like the Gophers. I just don't like the behavior.
I'm a huge Taylor Heisey fan.
It's Taylor Heineke, but we'll figure that out later. Let's start with the Amazon series, and the episode 3 is called Matthew Tkachuk and Jeremy Swayman is the name of that episode, and it features Matthew Tkachuk and Jeremy Swayman. It culminates in them playing each other in the second round of the playoffs. It makes you like Matthew Tkachuk somehow even more. You watch that and you're like, get that fucking guy on my team right this second. He's incredible. All of the hard stuff that it shows players going through. Jeremy Swayman, he's doing all the hand-eye coordination stuff. Every shot of Matthew Tkachuk is just him chilling in a pool or making fun of somebody.
Mainly his family.
Awesome.
The family dynamic that is shown on that show is incredible. Like Brady, Matthew, Keith, always just making fun of each other.
Terrific. My favorite line of the series, actually, it might not be my favorite line of the series, but one of my favorite lines of the series is, shall we get you ready for the summer? When they're sitting around the house, Big Walt is doing the steaks on the grill or whatever, and there's a few more minutes, so Matthew has a green, and he's like, Brady, let's go golf for a little bit. Get you ready for the summer. You don't get to play in the playoffs. Awesome stuff. He rules. It makes you like him so much more. And I say so much more as though everybody automatically likes him.
They don't.
Everybody should automatically like Matthew Tkachuk. He does rule. Even in that series, I was never mad at Matthew Tkachuk in the Stanley Cup final, mainly because he wasn't very good at it. So I wasn't too worried about him. There was that half a second that he made that incredible play, but he just got that dog in him.
Yeah, but like everybody should love Matthew Tkachuk in the way that everybody should love Brad Marchand, which is like you should not love him unless he plays for your team, but you should love that he exists, and you should love that he is a like a central figure in hockey. And hockey needs more guys like Matthew Tkachuk. Very, very evident in this series. Like every time Matthew Tkachuk opens his mouth, it's entertaining, it's fun. And he has never met a camera that he doesn't like.
I feel like he doesn't get enough.
The NHL needs more guys like that.
I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. Charlie called him beloved Florida man for really being kind of like a Florida guy.
Oh yeah.
Like he fits the, not necessarily like, I mean, he does the South Beach party thing well when he needs to, but like he fits the crazy, unpredictable Florida guy vibe.
You can absolutely see why he would have preferred Florida over Calgary based off of the way that this series goes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, aesthetically, he's got the Florida thing because he reveals that his first purchase upon signing with the Panthers was a golf cart. So he just rides around on a golf cart all day, which is a very Florida thing to do. That's really cool. He goes to the beach before every game, just gets in the water. What a luxury. He had there's just so many. I mean, his pool looks sick. He definitely takes advantage of the fact that he's in Florida, but it also gets into how good he is at fucking with players. And one of his main targets was, of course, Jeremy Swayman. But the Swayman storyline was mainly showing that Swayman's a cool guy, which goalies, you never know. Not that goalies are mean people, but Swayman really just has a real heart on him. And they very much get into how much the Bruins hurt his feelings in arbitration, which I don't want to say that nothing quote unquote new was uncovered there, because he has spoken on the record about how much he hated that and how, like, you want to do it to me, I'm going to do it to you. Cool.
But there's but all the stuff that he's previously talked about when it's been with the media has a media shield on it. Like there's a media bubble where it's like, okay, he's pissed, but he's not really like getting too deep in on it and they're like being too vulnerable about it. In this one, you get like the very unfiltered take from Jeremy Swayman on how much the contract stuff hurt his feelings.
The audio that will be played a lot once people can play it is this quote: "Hearing that you're not worthy of what you think you're worthy of, that was hard to hear. You don't forget what was said. I wrote them down and I looked at them the other day and I had a couple of check marks. My biggest knock was how I wasn't trustworthy in the playoffs." Check. So this whole thing, like most of it with Swayman was, I'm an RFA. We did like this big, basically standoff is coming up. Seemed like the kind of message that was being put out there, which I wouldn't totally expect because you just never know. But it seemed like he did that.
Yeah, I mean, as a Bruins fan, you're very uncomfortable watching it, knowing that this was filmed months ago.
Yeah,
and how many times he mentions like, hey, this might be the last time I put on the Bruins uniform. Like it seemed like he was forecasting that things may not go super well over the summer, which a little unnerving for sure.
You and I disagree with that. I think that you're overstating
I don't think
this could be it kind of thing, because I did not get the sense in that he was that he felt it could be over with the Bruins.
Oh, he says it like a few times.
You got to rewatch it. The documentarian person says like, "Are you considering that this could be your last time playing at the Garden?" And he was like, "Whoa. No, I'm not, because you just can't think about that." And then after they get eliminated, when he says, "To have everybody chanting my name after we lost, knowing that this could have been my last game here," fuck. I will say, in Jeremy Swayman's defense and in not freaking out Bruins fans, I did not get the vibe from this that he thought he was going to be done with the Bruins.
I think that it was much more, watching it, I felt like it was much more real to him than I thought it may have been.
Yeah, that it was brought up at all, I thought is something. But again, it was brought up by them, which is just them doing good work.
They can guide you. But I feel like right now, I was like, I need something to get done within the next 24 hours, because once everybody sees this episode of the Swayman thing, Bruins fans are going to flip out. They're going to be like, he's long gone, things like that. So I would love it if Jeremy Swayman could sign by whatever time this releases on Friday.
Elliot Friedman does say that the Bruins are at 8x8, finally. It's nice of them to do that. after they say that they were. It should be close if it's at 8x8. And I think that Jeremy Swayman still, unless he was so pissed off by the Cam Neely thing the other day, like that shouldn't be enough to make you not want to play for the team anymore. It should make you be like, yo, fuck these guys. I don't like how they do business. But that's already, I think, how he thought about that.
I agree. Like, I don't think the Bruins should go any higher than like 8.25. I don't think they will. But yeah, it's from the sounds of it, it sounds like he wants the McAvoy deal still. 9.5. He's not going to get it. Not from the Bruins. It got to come down a little bit more.
Okay. And then, of course, we get the full clip of Connor McDavid yelling at his teammates after Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. A big thing about this series, and I did get pissed off at Matthew Tkachuk, I think after Game 5, he's like, we were the better team in that game. They got so lucky that they won that game. We should have won that game. And I'm like, excuse me? Are you a Florida Panther busting out the deserve to win meter in this
after
fucking
game
series?
1.
After Game 1 and Game 3, you are going to say, we're getting fucked here. The hockey gods must not like us. Game 2, though, is the only spot where, you had to react being down 2-0 anyway. That was, in the first 3 games, the only time in the series that he could yell at his teammates. Because other than that, like Game 1, they got quote-unquote goal lead. But even that, it's fucking Game 1. Who cares? Game 3, they outplayed them. It just fucking sucked. And what are you gonna like scream at the team when you're down 3-0 and everything? Like, did they fucking know? Game 2 was the one where we all knew at the time, too. We were like, Oilers could be in trouble because Florida's not going to get outplayed 2 games in a row.
Right.
And they didn't. So that was the one game where McDavid could be like, guys, get it in fucking gear. And this is what he did.
Right now. Right now. Right now. Not ideal, but it's happened so many times. But that's not good enough. For finals. Dig the in right now. Whatever the you have. That is not good enough. Let's go get one win at home. One win, and we'll see what happens. But dig the in.
Hey, actually, I had a reaction off that I've said before that I now want to withdraw. I want to say it's kind of awkward because clearly that's his first time yelling. He doesn't have a voice. He yelled before. His voice is gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see him yelling. Good to see some emotion. Good to see Connor McDavid beyond what we know that he is. But yelling grade is like an A-.
It needs a little work.
It needs a little work for sure.
Right now! It's about honor! It's about respect!
That's kind of what I'm getting off.
It's about honor! It's about respect!
It's about honor! This is a big episode for voices.
What else?
Because we're going to do Beckett Sennecke later.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
But yeah, like...
Right
no, like...
now!
This one's not bad.
Right now!
Yeah.
That sounds like a guy with the heart of a lion.
It's about
honor! It's about respect!
It sounds better without the visual, because I think the visual, he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands while I'm yelling.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's just those things working in tandem. And I don't want to make fun of him because like it's a really, really intense moment, and he obviously means it. The message behind it is good. It obviously like eventually kind of worked to fire up the team, but
I've abandoned my child!
he is an awkward yeller.
Yeah.
Not a great yeller.
Better than Brady, though.
Better than,
anything is better than...
It's about honor! It's about respect!
But like when Brady yells, he doesn't look as awkward.
Brady kind of always looks
shrill.
awkward.
He's just shrill.
He's very, very shrill. I think that honestly, initially, we were all taken aback by that just in general.
That was the first clip that I saw of this. So when I was talking about like, I first got to see episode 5. That was the first episode that I got to see, and that like they start with that as like the cold open basically, and oh my god, to have that be your first taste of the series.
Well, they give that, they have a very condensed version of that.
Yeah,
as the open.
Right.
The full one is shown in episode 6, and the open to episode 5 will wreck you if you are a person with a heart at all, because it just shows the Oilers walking back into the locker room and sitting around and like dead silent. You see McDavid just like gushing, crying. It is a tough one, but all in all, really, really good series. You're going to enjoy it a lot. There's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot of meat on the bone, and it's going to make you want to go to see some games. And if you do that, you should go with tickets from Game Time, because Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase.
About honor.
They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. They will honor your deal with them.
Your
know
kids
that?
will be honored.
It's about honor.
Your family will be honored. It's all about honor with Game Time. Game Time, it's about honor. They have deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the layout is so nice. You see the map with the little lightning bolt, and if you see the lightning bolt, it's your call. It's you decide whether or not you want to do that, because it's going to be electric. But with zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHAOS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAOS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Go there
Right now.
Hey, fellas, does your penis stink? Well, you need Blue Chew, because Blue Chew gives you first impressions that will last for a long time, because that's where Blue Chew comes in. They help boost your confidence in the bedroom so you can stay hard and perform at your very best. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you will receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no yelling about anything in a shrill voice, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, and you can take them anytime, day or night or the afternoon. Go ahead, plan ahead, and be ready whenever the opportunity arises.
If anybody's checking out the show for the first time, obviously give a like on the video, but also subscribe, because that will go a long way for us. 80%, between 71 and 80% of people who watch our videos.
I was right in the middle of an ad read.
Didn't that sound done?
No.
I mean, there's usually a
There's usually a call to action at the end.
Okay.
We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free. This guy's ready to go. Popped a Blue Chew. He's ready at any opportunity. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code ALLCITY at checkout. Pay $5 for shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free. Go to bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Go ahead, my friend.
All right, now that fucking Chatty Cathy over here is done talking about God knows what, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Here is our conversation with Daniel Amigone, the showrunner and executive producer of FACEOFF, the Amazon show. FACEOFF Inside the NHL is available to watch tomorrow on Amazon. Let's bring in the showrunner and executive producer, Daniel Amigone. Hi, Daniel.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. First time, long time. So thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, we've crossed paths a few times. Obviously, Pete did a great job doing the stuff for the show, one of the talking heads. Fantastic. You made him look lovely. He made himself sound lovely. I guess I'm like the only fan here and just pure observer. Thought it was really, really good. Thought there was something kind of for everyone. A dork like me wants to see Oilers stuff, behind the scenes, guys yelling at each other. Got all that. But also, I think the average casual sports fan is going to just fall in love with the characters. What was your goal when you were putting this all together?
That's a great question. I think Yeah, to me, and let me first say, like, I'm such a fan of what you guys do as well, and honestly, your show is such a valuable resource as we put this show together. It feels to me like hockey is kind of having a moment where a new generation of voices and kind of a different generation of folks are lending their voices to the discussion about hockey. We're learning about these players on such a more personal level, and I think you guys do such a great job of bringing that out of the guests you have and just the way you talk about the game. And that's honestly what we tried to do with this show. So, but yeah, I'm honestly a real fan, and I'm scared to death of what the love of your life is saying about me in the chat right now. I've gained 15 pounds eating, fuzzy peaches throughout Canada over the last year. So, and of course, I've been up all night the last few nights, grinding about some ideas about this jersey reveal. So, really, appreciate what you guys do. And as you said, we probably couldn't have made the show without Pete's contribution. So thank you guys for what you're doing. And yeah, I think I was kind of in a unique spot to be able to work on this show and make it, because I'd worked on HBO's 24/7, the quest for the Stanley Cup on Showtime, and so I knew what the NHL had done in the past, and it was really my goal to flip the frame, really to be more personal about the players and tell their stories and get people hooked to what goes on in their day-to-day lives. So you build that connection, you build that real kind of care of no matter where these guys go in their career, you'll always be a fan of them. You'll always care about what happens to them on and off the ice. And that was really my goal with this. And I have to say, to the NHL's credit, to the Amazon's credit, they gave us a ton of latitude to be able to tell those stories.
Yeah, I'm curious because you called me and you pitched me the idea, and you were like, here's the guys that we'd like to have. And then we met at All-Star Weekend. You're like, I'm sitting down with a bunch of these guys. Yeah. And I was like, there's no way it's going to be as awesome as it sounds. And there's no way they're going to get all these fucking guys who are going to sign up for this. You did. Yeah. So I'm very curious as to what the interview process was like at All-Star Weekend, and kind of what you gleaned from that initial sit down with those guys.
As you know, the personalities in this league are so good right now, and my Box to Box, the production company we did this with is done Drive to Survive. I did Full Swing with them. I did the first season of Full Swing, and so they are British, not hockey fans, and so I basically sat down a couple weeks before All-Star, put together that wish list that I shared with you over the phone of here's who I'd love to get. Here's who I think are the most interesting, stories in hockey right now. I'd say of those 20 guys, 12 of them were at All-Star. So it was just such a target rich environment to sit down with a bunch of guys. And the first two guys who rolled in, the NHLPA set up a bunch of meetings for us. The first two guys to roll in were Willie Nylander and David Pastrnak. And it was immediately like, okay, we got a show here. And these guys, just the personality oozes out of them. And it was, again, to the NHL's credit, we said, hey, these are the stories we think are most interesting. And they really let us run with it, and they supported us the whole way. And then Jeremy Swayman comes in and sits down. Leon Draisaitl comes in and sits down. Connor McDavid sits down. It's for my, Paul Martin, the other executive producer who was there with me, is like, wow, the personalities in the NHL are really diverse, especially the Pasta Willie thing of you've got the guy who's destined from day one to be an NHL superstar. His dad played in the league. He looks like a Norse god. And then you've got Pasta, who had a little bit more of a hard scrabble upbringing, and lost his dad at 15, was on his own, really had to become a man so much earlier than he thought he was going to. And their friendship, and honestly, I think of myself as a pretty big hockey fan. I had no idea that they were best friends since they were 15. And those types of stories, you've got to get lucky with these shows. And we tripped into some really good luck, sitting down with the Tkachuks and McDavid and Draisaitl on basically day one, and following them all the way.
Yeah, the fun thing with Pastrnak was when he was drafted, he was hurt his draft year, but it was so he he was like on the team with Nylander. So already in draft years, you're like, that's not necessarily a good sign. Did Nylander just make him look really good?
Right.
And also he was hurt. And also at the time, the Bruins had just let Jarome Iginla walk. It was like, and also he needs to make the team right now. This sounds really stupid. And he ends up being this absolutely incredible player. You guys did a really good job of just showing all that, because I don't know how many people did know about like the Sweden stuff with Pasternak and definitely the family stuff with Pasternak. Early in his career, you'd be like, hey, how was your summer? What'd you do? And he'd just be like, I saw my mom. And that's like the best thing that he could do because he's such a family guy. And then obviously you show the hardships that his family has experienced in recent years too, without making it trauma porn. Like very tastefully done. Great job there. On another Bruins note, how prescient do you feel this all was that right now the greatest contract standoff in recent NHL history is going on, and a lot of last season and a lot of the Swayman stuff that you documented with him last season was about like, hey, so what's this contract going to look like? They were kind of assholes to you last year, and now fans who are wondering why Swayman hasn't signed, what's going on, will be able to watch that and be like, I know.
Yeah, no, I think I think you watch the show and you understand how much it was on his mind, but and how it kind of poured out of him. First time we sat down with him, he was, willing to share. And as you guys know, like it is so hard to get athletes to open up but Jeremy Swayman is, one of the most open and honest and forthright athletes I've ever worked with. And I think he took this as an opportunity to show people his personality. I don't think that was a mistake. And I think, yes, prescient, lucky. I think it all kind of enters into it. Not only that this contract thing has come up, but then he goes and turns into an absolute Superman come playoff time, and not only that, but Willie and Pasta come together in the first round of the playoffs. And it's like, and then Willie, the whole where's Willie, situation is unfolding. It's all the hockey world is talking about is basically like, wow, Jeremy Swayman just became the best goalie in the league, and Willie Nylander is MIA. We have no idea where he is. And I was sitting literally in my basement office here thinking like, we're inside both of the most interesting stories in hockey right now. Kind of dumb luck brought us there, but we'll take it.
It's just a shame that nothing interesting ended up happening with the other guys the rest of the postseason. That's what I was going to say.
Like, you got lucky in so many different ways, and it was like such a test of my own self-control, knowing that you guys had cameras in these situations, and being like, I want to be like, I can't fucking wait to see this play out on Amazon. So, like, you got extremely lucky, but I do want to ask, like, when the Stanley Cup final, the stage was set, and then you get to the Game 7, we saw you before Game 7.
Yeah.
There are two extremely interesting outcomes from a storytelling standpoint. Were you pulling for one over another?
Oh, man.
I know the answer. I know the answer, but go ahead.
Yeah. From a storytelling standpoint, I think this outcome is more interesting because we have more story to tell. I think the Panthers winning, I think, is triumphant.
Whoa, spoiler alert. Jeez.
It's not out. We're taping this
You're
before
making
it's
a
out.
show for people who don't know hockey, too.
Guys, you have to cut that. Yeah. You have
Jesus
to cut that. I'm sorry.
Well, now we know what the love of your life is going to say.
Seriously. But, like, honestly, day of, because that comeback had already, been such an amazing, just Connor put the team on his back, and it was like, wow, for him to pull this off, it would be so, and to see him celebrate in that moment, I think would have been an amazing story and an amazing episode. But I think the way it played out, and also you can't really count on access in a loss. They were, to their credit, let us stay in that locker room for 10 minutes, like witnessing, some of the most heartbreaking, defeat, footage you've ever seen. So I think that's something that I think you talk about a lot when you talk about sports. Like, these guys love each other. They care so much. These moments of, thrill of victory, agony of defeat. But, for me, this was showing it at a level that I'm really proud of, and maybe really hasn't been seen before. So I think day of, I wanted the Oilers to win if I'm given truth serum, but the show we were able to put together in the wake of the Panthers win, I think is probably a better show.
Yeah, it's the most kind of life way for that story to end is the incredible thing happened and you learned that anything is possible and you didn't get what you want. Like, it not just in like a dark way or whatever, but like that's what makes sports so amazing. And you saw it in Game 5. Matthew Tkachuk makes this incredible play that immediately doesn't fucking matter. And like the sports gods and whatever gods there are in the world don't care that he just made this incredible play, which is the best play he's ever going to make in his life. But it comes in a loss. And it doesn't matter. So I obviously was rooting very heavily for the Oilers, but I do think it is a great story. Pete knows one of my favorite things in the world is when Glenn Close is nominated for an Academy Award, because she's not going to fucking win. And everyone's going to make such a big deal about how it's her time. Not necessarily. What if somebody else does a better job? So that's why we watch all these things. That's why we love all these things. And you noted the 10 minutes of access that you were granted after the game. I cried at the open of episode 5, and I know that so many people who aren't Oilers fans are going to cry at the opening scene of that, because it's more than sports. It's just human. And when you see that kind of heartbreak, and it's as, I guess, like still and quiet and not dramatic, like that's what got me anyway, and I think it's going to get a lot of people.
Also, I do want to mention that was the first footage I've seen of this entire fucking thing, because you sent me the episode. That was the first episode that I got to see, and that was the first thing of anything that I got to see. I was like, holy fuck. Like 4 minutes in, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So like, yeah, I would recommend that if somebody is starting, like, start with episode 5,
really,
because it'll like blow your dick off immediately.
I won't lie. I went 1, 3, 5, 6, 4. Just a cool way. That sounds like a Taylor Swift chord progression, but yeah, minus the 3. She only uses 1 minor chord per song. But a thing I liked, or a thing that kind of struck me initially about the show, I watched episode 1 and Pete was like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "Great." I guess when I went into it, I didn't consider that how much about the players it is. And like when William Nylander is flipping out on his teammates, it's about William Nylander flipping out on his teammates. It's not about Mitch Marner. It's not about whatever. It's about like, what is this guy feeling in the moment that's leading him to be like, fuck guys, like we always do this. So you get this super concentrated dose of what this player's emotion is. So as I watched more episodes, I loved how it was really almost like the movie Air. Like it's through this lens, and it's a heavy dose of this lens. Yet when it got to the Edmonton Oilers, you couldn't fucking tell the story without Cody Ceci. And I love that so much. It made me so happy.
Every time you brought up Cody Ceci over the last few months, I was like, oh, DJ's going to love this moment. The way he walks into that locker room, it's like, it says everything in 2 seconds, the way him and Leon kind of, relate to each other. And yeah, he's a beaut. And I think
they're truly sitting around noting how uninteresting they are. And they're like, I don't even know what they're going to use in this. Whatever. And they kind of have light smiles. And then you just see them light up. And it's like, what man holding a giant check for $10 million is standing on the other side? And it's literally Cody Ceci walked in the room.
Beautiful head of hair coming through the doorway. Yeah. It's
off of DJ's point, like how challenging was it to turn off like the other 90% of your hockey brain when like looking at these storylines and being like, okay, we have to focus through the 10% lens of the player that we're following and just tell it from that kind of angle?
I mean, that is the trick with these shows. There are a million different ways you can go. And yes, I think like sometimes it's good to have someone who is kind of a visitor in the world to be able to bounce ideas off of, to say, okay, actually, I understand maybe a diehard hockey fan would care about this, but the average person who's going to be tuning in might not care about the way they're forechecking or the way they're working at D to D behind the net. So like maybe let's stick to the personal. But honestly, from day one, that is my mantra all day, every day. It's like, what can we do with our access and with our cameras and with our storytelling chops that no one else can, and that what's the story that no one else is telling that we can tell. So I think it's in a way it's difficult, but in a way it's simplifying. And like you said, there's 90% of something else you could be focusing on. But if you just stick to that 10% that is intimate, personal, and ultimately relatable to the average human being, I think that's where you find the good stories. Because very few people know what it's like to play in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, but a lot of people know what it's like to not be crushing it at work, or to have a baby on the way, or to some of the things that these guys are actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis on a personal level. So I think if the trick is, and what I tried to kind of really drill into the teams we had on this is, we need to be telling one story, be very strident about it, and really not get seduced by a lot of the noise that's out there.
I gotta ask, knowing how much footage you have, what's the best behind the scenes thing that didn't make the cut?
Good question. I'd say, so Philip Forsberg and his wife Erin were unbelievable. Gave us like some of the best access of all time, and their personality. It's tough with these episodes. We want them to be between like 38 and 45 minutes. It's hard to keep a ton of off ice stuff on there when the games kind of matter so much. But they went pool table shopping when she was 9 months pregnant, and this is maybe not the best thing, but it's what immediately pops to mind. And Philip Forsberg desperately wanted a white pool table, and she's covered, like 9 months pregnant, covered in a spray tan at the moment. She's like, I'm the spray tan queen. We can't get a white pool table. So I would say that's the moment that like really sticks out to me of like, and hopefully there's more like meat on the bone. Like, as you say, there are things that needed to hit the cutting room floor for a time or whatever it might be. And that just means if we get the chance to do this thing again, we can go back and tell some deeper stories.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that and I'm like, there are, to what you said in the beginning, like there are so many interesting personalities. And as I watch that, I'm like, I'm watching this with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, who are like two of the best, let's say 4 players in the world. If this were and Matthew Tkachuk as well, like who's not top 5, but you know what I'm saying? Like if this were about Paul Maurice and Stu Skinner, it would be its own sort of like crazy fascinating. And you did do maybe I undersold how much you were able to sprinkle in the kind of secondary and tertiary characters, because Paul Maurice, who quite frankly I'd gotten a little sick of as the actual postseason went on, because I was like, this is a good coach. I need to see things of him coaching and not just making jokes all the time. And the moment in episode 3 where they're up 3-1 and he's yelling at them about, you're up 3-1 and suddenly you want to make plays. Fuck making plays. Wear down their defense. Let's take this to 7. Their defense will be dead. They'll have nothing left. Wear down their defense.
Yeah.
I don't know if you followed the post, the offseason. What the Bruins do as soon as they get eliminated, they go out and they sign Nikita Zadorov. So, like, if you're a big hockey fan and you watch this stuff, you're like, damn, some of this stuff really, like, these guys aren't just bozos. They know what the fuck they're talking about. And when they see a weakness and they attack a weakness, this is, like, really, really thought out, which
Yeah.
made the scene in the Panthers room in the Stanley Cup final even cooler. The whiteboard with all the strategies and everything has just been wiped off, and they just all signed it and said and wrote "Brothers for Life." Because I'm like, there's so much strategy that goes into this. There's so much thought that goes into this. So it definitely scratched every itch that I could have as a hockey fan. Great job.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, Paul, I think we could have done an entire show about Paul Maurice. We have enough footage to do that. And, but I think that's one of those things that in the moment, my field producer, Daniel Litke would tell me every day, like, hey, Paul did this, Paul did that. I'm like, well, our story is, the Tkachuk family lineage. And, we need to stay focused on that. And it just kind of dilutes it. But I think, as you say, we're able to sprinkle it in so that it doesn't get too claustrophobic. You see how other people are kind of affecting our main character. And as you say, there's a little something for everyone, as far as his strategy, as far as their kind of anaconda chokehold that they put on teams, come playoff time. So, I hope everyone can kind of get a little something out of it.
Didn't even mention the best secondary or tertiary character, though, which is the great Ken Swayman. And I don't know how you were able to keep yourself honest and not put like 45 minutes of that guy, because he is just the sweetest man in the world.
Absolute star.
Oh my God, I know. And like the stories we got from them, they take these hikes. They go to Alaska and they spend like 4 days in the wilderness, and they've been doing it since Jeremy was like 7 years old. Like definitely, I've got young kids and really taking some dad notes from Ken Swayman. I'm scared. My oldest is 8. I'm scared that he's going to, not want to hang out with me next week. Jeremy is like actively trying to hang out with Ken. Jeremy moved apartments. Ken was there to help him move. It's like, if my son is calling me to hang and to help him move apartments at 26, you did something right. So love Ken Swayman.
I think we're all rooting for a season 2. It sounds like you're rooting for a season 2. Who would be like your want to get this guy so bad for season 2 guy?
I think there's a lot of meat left on the bone with Leon. To me, I think like his offseason has been so interesting. Now that the contract is behind him, what does that do from a pressure standpoint? What is on his shoulders now? And I think he's just such a charismatic guy. And I think he has seen the process firsthand. And maybe the focus was a little bit more on Connor this time around. And I think we've had some conversations with him where he seems into it to dive in a little bit deeper. And I think, to me, the things that jump off the page as far as, just NHL notes, news and notes over the summer are guys like Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault going to Nashville, and like 2 guys who are so dyed in the wool with those franchises, cup-winning franchises, now in a new place. And going on that FU tour, I think that, and Nashville is just, we worked with them this year. They were amazing to work with. Our producer, Stephanie Ridenauer, who was there, just really ingratiated herself and made great relationships there. So I think those stories, and then there got, as you'll see, we spent a ton of time with Quinn Hughes and Matthew Tkachuk, this season, if we're able to go deeper with Jack Hughes and with Brady Tkachuk, I feel like those guys could be really interesting. So those are, just some of the early brainstorming. Nothing has been kind of, as you say, greenlit yet, but we'll be ready if and when it happens.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we can't let you get out of here unless we ask you about the Buffalo Sabres. You're a Buffalo guy. They are the champions of the 2024-25 preseason. So
fly forever. Yeah. Looking forward to banner night for the champions of the preseason. And yeah, it is. Thank you for bringing that up. I am contractually obligated to mention that I'm from Buffalo in every conversation. So thank you for that. And yeah, vibes are high. I think I was maybe hoping that there be a bigger splash at the beginning of free agency, but I do think relying on our young studs to take that next step is a good a good game plan to go into the season. And I do think Lindy will. It's that classic thing of like the player coach to the taskmaster switch. You get a little bump, holding the players a little bit more accountable. And yeah, I think UPL and Devin Levi are going to be a unbelievable tandem. And yeah, well, how's Sean feeling? Is Sean in the?
We got him there.
I feel great, mainly based off vibes, not necessarily any. I was very skeptical of the Lindy hire when it happened, but the vibes on this team seem too high for me not to get excited.
Hey, man.
I do have to push back.
Why not us?
Why not?
Well,
Famously,
I mean,
why
for
not?
a lot of reasons,
Yes,
but
I have to push back on the you wanted a bigger splash in the offseason. Do Sabres fans not know puck? Ryan McLeod is fast. I don't know how many times I've had to tell people Ryan McLeod is fast.
not to mention, got a new scoreboard.
That thing is 4 pages tall.
I didn't consider that. You guys bring up really good points. So
we also
I think,
got a new mural.
And
outside.
a roof.
I know.
What's a mural?
Yeah.
The walkway thing?
Yeah.
The
They're
rumors
making a
were
big
true.
deal about that.
The rumors were true. There was a mural.
There was. And then they got a
There
new
were
one.
about 45 guys pictured on that mural. So they really, Jack Eichel, not conspicuously absent, but I believe Maxima Finneganoff.
Finneganoff. That's the one I was going to say. That, right there. I love Maxima
You
Finneganoff.
motherfuckers from Buffalo all
all
just
that
think the same. You have the one brain.
Is
Shared
Vanek
brain.
on there? Is Vanek on there?
Of course. You kidding me?
Legend.
The original slap shot, penalty shot.
You know what my favorite Sabres team was? 2013, 14.
The one that started the drought.
What's that?
The one that started the drought.
Sounds about right. But that was the year that they were like, we have had enough. Watch out. We're getting Steve Ott. And the Bruins were like, okay. And they were like, we said Steve, you hear us?
Steve.
We're getting Steve Ott. We're not taking any of your shit anymore. And the Bruins were like,
Gave him the
we
C.
bet you
He
are.
wore the C. He was
What's
our
that?
captain. He was our captain.
That's
Did they trade
tough
for him
scene.
and name him captain?
I want to say he started the year as captain. That was the famous picture of the two-tone jerseys. The
The
yellow
worst
in the
jerseys in the
front.
history of the
Horrible.
NHL.
Horrible.
I do have an Ott signed puck in my apartment right now.
Jesus Christ.
You
This is so
sweet,
sad.
sweet boys.
He's-
Last thing I did need to note, just for bookkeeping purposes, because we're a Hockey is for Everyone podcast, we are recording this on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Great job getting a ton of Jewish players for this. You got Quinn Hughes, you got Jeremy Swayman, you got, there's one more that I'm forgetting.
Zach
Ken
Hyman.
Swayman.
Ken Swayman, Zach Hyman.
Zach Hyman.
Yes.
4 famous Jewish stars. Excellent job. We absolutely love to see it. Did need to run through our list of things that you missed, though, for this. It is one thing long, and it is that you made no mention of the fact that an Evan was going to win the Stanley Cup for the first time. That was kind of the main story of that series, and it must have been a timing thing that you left that out.
It was, there's some, it's called killing your darlings. Sometimes the best stuff has to hit the cutting room floor, and the Evan storyline, it was a whole, we had an Evan episode, but unfortunately.
It didn't have Evan Bouchard or Evan Rodriguez. It was just about the history of
It was
Evans.
just about Evanescence.
Yes. Ooh, that would really bring the thing to life. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Make
What'd
it
you guys
immortal.
think? I mean, what'd you think of the music, I guess?
Yes, I did write down. You used in episode, I believe 5, you used Wild by Spoon.
Yeah.
That album,
baby.
Lucifer on the Sofa, is one of my favorite recent albums. Are you a Spoon
Nice.
guy? Is that your call or
Spoon
what?
guy. Yeah. It was, I think, again, Amazon and the NHL gave us really good latitude to basically choose the music we wanted. And I was happy we got, a couple of cool tracks in there.
I'm going to drop Britt Daniel a note and be like, hey, I'm sure you know about this because you had to sign off on it, but saw your song in the Amazon show and it's amazing. You a hockey guy? Get that ball rolling. Maybe have Britt on the show.
That'd be great. I'm tuning
More
in.
Carly Rae Jepsen. That's my my input, please.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
Canada's own.
Cut to the Feeling would... Oh, I did like how much Shania Twain was in it.
That's true.
Because that really was... I was at the Shania Twain performance before Game 4, and truly there was a sense of like, just because of how stupid this all is, there is no way the Oilers are losing today. Like, these vibes are just too good. And are they is it a little saccharine? Yeah, but shut up. They're going to win today. And then they blew doors.
Yeah, that was what a night. What a night. Yeah, that win doesn't happen without Shania, in my opinion.
That's right.
So.
Amazing. And this show obviously famously does not happen without you, because you did it, and you made a great, you really, really, really made a great docuseries here. And we look forward to hopefully seeing a season 2. But if not, we're going to be chatting with you anyway about hockey, because we love the Sabres this year. We love the Sabres this year.
From your lips to God's ears. Sounds good. Hopefully, I would love to feature them in the show this year. Let's break that drought.
Ooh, JJ? UPL? Possible. Ryan McLeod's fast. Honestly, my vote would be Lindy. I was team Lindy when he was coaching. You can check the tape. You know this if you listen to the show. The Sabres need Lindy when Lindy was coaching the Devils. Right. Like that was always happening. Some of us chose to act like there was a chance it wasn't happening. It was a little silly on some of our parts. It was always happening.
Yeah.
They're taking this thing to the moon.
Hell yeah. I love it. Well, yeah, all 6 of the episodes drop on Friday. I think I should probably mention on Prime. So binge them all on Friday. And hockey fans, hockey Twitter is famously measured and respectful. So I'm looking forward to all the feedback.
Amazing. None of the players endorsed a president in it. Ooh. So it's not going to be a smooth sailing. All right. Bye, Daniel.
Thanks, guys.
Check out Face Off on Amazon Prime tomorrow. We've got some super chats, of course, multiple from the Love of Your Life. Happy Out of Touch Thursday, says the Love of Your Life. I asked the fellas what that means. None of us know, so apparently we're out of touch. The Love of Your Life obviously also says, I love you too, Silver TV Daddy. That is to Daniel, giving him a shout out. And shout out to Daniel because he really does keep up with this show, which is amazing. And from Christian, pay sway with this. I'm going to lose my mind, right? Pay sway. Oh, it was covered up by something. LOL, I'm losing my mind. Yeah, well, at some point it's going to get done, I think. Who knows? Maybe. Shout out to Daniel for coming on with us. Big night last night for our guy Beckett Sennecke, 3rd overall pick, the surprise 3rd overall pick in the 2024 NHL draft by the Anaheim Ducks. We all know him for being the guy that turned and said, what the fuck, when he got drafted, because nobody really knew who was going to go after Levshinov and Celebrini. It was him. He's been hurt in the preseason. We got to see him debut yesterday for the Ducks wearing that incredible uniform. The bigger thing, though, is that there was the Ducks posted a video saying, we got to talk to Beckett before he played his big game. Here is that.
I'm pretty excited to get out there finally. I mean, it's been a kind of long recovery for me, so I'm obviously pretty excited.
That's your voice? I've never talked to him.
That is such a deeper voice than I expected.
Way deeper than I expected. He looks like a child. Sounds like he has rocks in his mouth.
Sean, play it again.
I'm pretty excited to get out there finally. I mean, it's been a kind of long recovery for me, so I'm obviously pretty excited.
He sounds like a Motown singer when sometimes like the second verse is just spoken. It's just like the same lyrics of the first verse, and then it's the second one. It's just like, baby.
Sounds
like
never
once. Blah, 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 blah.
Sounds like he's in witness protection.
Sean's big thing was I tweeted like that's his voice, and someone responded with same energy, and it was like the guy in the darkened room.
With
speaking on camera.
The silhouette.
Sean, you had a great observation about this, though.
I mean, just that it completely changes the way you look at the what the fuck clip from the draft.
It's true.
The idea that that happened and he was like,
what the fuck?
Mom. They drafted me. I'm going 3rd. Okay. Here goes. Where we watch that and the Ducks. What the fuck?
It looks so boyish. And he's like got such a manly voice.
Looks like I'm headed to Anaheim.
I like orange.
I
don't know why I made him sound like
you made
Forrest
him sound like
Gump.
You made that was like a more offensive Forrest Gump. Guess we're going to California. Sounds good to me. Let's go, gang.
Last night was a big Beckett Sennecke night. Big coming out party. Not only his debut, not only did he have an unbelievable goal in the shootout of that game, but we found out why he wears number 45, which initially you look at 45, you're like, that's an ugly number
No,
for a forward. For
wrong.
a forward, it absolutely is.
It's exciting.
It is ugly. You can't say wrong when that is definitely the reaction most people would have, is that is an ugly
I
number.
know where you're coming from because you like different numbers. You like weird numbers.
Be your own man, Beckett.
You can
I
be your
agree.
own man and look cool.
Right. Like 45 is an ugly, blocky number for a forward.
Well, 45 is a number for, respectively, a bad defenseman. Or respectfully, a bad defenseman. So I like being like, I'm just taking it. Whatever. It's like how Chara wore 33. What's going on with that? That's a backup goalie number.
No, that's like a normal number, especially anything that's doubled, I
Yeah.
think works.
I agree. Also, wearing 33 in Boston hits a little different than wearing it anywhere else.
I'll say I would
Because of
rather.
Jason Varitek?
Yes.
Is that really?
No.
No, Larry Bird.
I was going to say, I was like, if I would rather him wear 45 than like 44.
I love 44 is
44 is a good defenseman.
it's
So-
also a big Syracuse
Yeah, like
number.
Dick Ryder in the chat says 45 is a fullback number, blocky as hell.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that. But the Beckett Sennecke's thing is that he's a growing boy and he's already like 6'2", but he's going to keep growing and he's just going to become this monster. Have a 45 out there. I understand it looks so weird, but I like him trying it out. I love Will Smith doing 2. I love Beckett Sennecke doing 45. Let's get creative, young men. It's
But
good behavior.
The reasoning behind his number for 45 makes me like it. He's a Trump guy. No. He says that the only reason that he would get up in the morning when he was a kid was to watch cartoons on the local channel that was number 45. And he's been wearing 45 since he was like 4 or 5 years old, which inception there. But also, like, that's crazy. At 4 or 5 years old, he was like, I'm going to pick the number because of the station that I watch cartoons on, and then keep that number his entire life, including into the NHL. Incredible behavior.
You missed the best part of that. Can you put it back up? The quote is, the only thing that would get me up was 5 minutes of Channel 45, which was Teletoon or something like that. Teletoon is the Canadian Cartoon Network.
Oh, I did not know that.
I definitely didn't either.
Oh, okay.
That's the best.
Well, you said it with the energy. It's
I'm
like you
wearing
missed the best
number.
part.
Well, you did. There's a thing called That's the most Canadian sounding thing I've ever heard in my life. Of course, Americans would call it Cartoon Network, and of course, Canadians would call it Teletoon. That sounds like a 30 Rock joke. That like they would go and visit the Teletoon station because they're in Canada. Yeah, it's just straight up Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network, formerly Teletoon, is a Canadian English language discretionary specialty channel owned by Chorus Entertainment. The channel primarily broadcasts animated series aimed at children and teenagers. There's like a Teletoon logo.
I grew up kind of like going to Canada and watching Teletoon because Total Drama Island was on Teletoon. That's one of the best cartoons of all time. So I wonder if Beckett was watching Total Drama Island.
So did you know Teletoon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What a name.
It's so much better than Cartoon Network.
Definitely.
Yes, I would agree. A little less on the nose, I guess, but better. 45 for me was Disney Channel growing up. So
I think it was for me too.
44 was Nickelodeon, 46 was Cartoon Network.
I can't even remember what 45 was, but
The only like number that I fully remember is 38. UPN 38.
yes, but I don't
That's
even
what like
think that was on
Pokemon
cable.
It was on.
But UPN,
It was on like regular TV.
but UPN 38, I don't believe was channel 38 on cable.
I don't remember.
UPN, because no, that was, I think I could be wrong. Was one of those like, was it like, what is it, like UHF, VHF, those fucking things on if you had like a shitty TV,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
respectfully, if you didn't have cable. I
think it was 14 when I was growing
Yeah,
up.
I think UPN 38 was in the teens or something like
I
that.
think it was 14, but it had like Pokemon. It had the Batman, the animated series, X-Men, all that shit. I used to watch that shit every day after
All
school.
I
It
can
was
really
incredible.
remember is I think MTV was 51 and VH1 was 52.
26
And
was
then, like,
ESPN for me, and 81 was
49.
Versus. I remember
was?
Versus. 81 was Versus.
Yikes! That's
what did
why
it Versus
the NHL
become?
stunk.
Yeah, honestly.
It became NBC
Sports,
Network.
right? Yeah.
Okay, well, we're pulling for Beckett Sennecke. He's our guy. Amazing stuff.
Truly, like last night,
Booming.
overnight, but I became a Beckett Sennecke guy.
I was already in, not because of the fuck thing, but just because they went rogue. There wasn't a clear-cut number 3 overall pick, so they were like, let's take the guy that people are saying is rising and could go as high as 8. Fuck it, we're taking him 3rd.
He's
Love that
famously
move.
rising.
He
Maybe
was,
to like 6'4".
He's continuing to rise everywhere except in the voice department. His voice is getting deeper by the hour. If he's still growing, it would stand to reason he could still be going through other parts of growing, which is your voice getting deeper. So I think he's got a ways to go there. So shout out Beckett Sennecke. We all love him. He swears. He has a deep voice. Minnesota, the University of Minnesota has named everybody captain. Here are their captains. There's 6 players, and you think, whoa, they're going with 5 assistants? Nope. They're going with 4 C's and 2 A's. And I would say winners and losers. Winners, most of the team for being captain, and losers, Aaron and Cal here, who are the only people wearing A's on a team full of captains. What type of horrible shot at their character is being taken there?
Yeah, it goes back to like your co-best man thing. Like, don't even give me the A.
Yeah, don't.
If you're gonna give 4 captaincies, don't even bother handing out the A. This is horrible behavior. Absolutely horrible. Like, if you want to name 6 captains, you give 1 captain 5 A's, I can deal with it. That's totally fine. You alternate the A's, go for it. Just name Jimmy Snuggerud captain. He's probably your best player, I think. And then give out the A's. 4 captains is insane. Insane, inexcusable behavior.
I just can't take the team seriously as an official.
Well, I don't think they're all going to be captain at once, right? There's no, like, that has to be against the rules. They have to have like 1 captain and 2 assistants per game, correct?
If you have seen any Mighty Ducks movie, you should know you're allowed to play it fast and loose with what you put on uniforms.
I guess. But like, you can't give the C to a goaltender, but you can give it to 4 players.
Somebody in the chat suggested it could just be grades.
That would be
just
ridiculous.
Everyone gets a C. Except for 2 people who got an A, and maybe they're doing the better one.
I don't know how I feel. One of the A's is a Sabres prospect, or his rights belong to the Buffalo Sabres, and I feel like the A is an indictment on his character.
Yes, A for sure looks like an indictment, just because there's too many C's. There's so many C's. You are the 18th option. Not to mention that, assuming all 4 C's aren't being worn in the same game, that means the guys who aren't wearing the C get an A for that night. Probably, right?
No, I think they've handed out the A's.
So then you're getting bumped from wearing an A.
Yeah, like you go from a C to a nothing to the next game.
No. I was going to say, so say I get a C, you get a C, and Sean gets an A, and only 2 letters can be worn. When I'm wearing the C, you would probably wear an A, and Sean wouldn't get anything. I don't think they would just like straight up strip the C for the C guys. I think that when they're not wearing the C, they wear an A, and the guys who wear an A, well, that would mean those guys never wear an A except for that photo shoot.
That's what
which I would believe.
They're not even wearing
an A those guys
in that
to begin
photo
with.
shoot. The photo shoot had 0 letters on the jerseys.
Right.
Great jerseys, by the way. The Golden Gophers have incredible jerseys. This is just awful behavior. The fact that we have to like go on like the pin board and figure out who's wearing what on any given night. And I just think that, going back to the old famous saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. If you have 4 captains, you have none. You have no captains.
Somebody in the chat suggested they could have made those 2 people, that 2 A's get a C, give out 1 more, and then you got the 7 C's.
There you go.
That would be very exciting. I'm not going to like keep up with this. I'm not going to look up how it looks from night to night. But if somebody sends me screen grabs and updates, I will pay attention to that.
Same.
I'm just not going to seek it out. But this is just an interesting move. Would you like any NHL team to do this?
No.
Oh, you wouldn't like the Sharks to just come out the gate, be like, celebrate, he's a captain. So is Cody Ceci. Also, like, Joe Thornton, we're signing him to whatever contract.
Well,
the Blue Jackets.
Anything that gets Joe Thornton back in the NHL, I'm down for. But like, I can't. I think it's a dangerous precedent to fuck with the C. You can have as much funny business with the A as you want. We've seen it across the NHL for years where teams will name like five A's and they'll rotate them. Nobody really gives a shit about the A. It's cool when a guy who's never gotten it before gets it for like 1 or 2 games at a time. But don't mess with the C's. C has too much power behind it. It has too much like history and meaning. I love when a guy gets the C. Don't dilute that.
This is the only sport, I guess soccer kind of, but like really the only sport that is just like a one captain kind of sport.
Soccer is famously not, because you can take off the armband,
but you can only have one captain at a time. Whereas
True,
like this,
but
like
any
in the
fucking
NFL,
bum coming off the bench can get the captain's thing as long as he subs for the captain.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, they usually will hand it to a player that should be captain, not necessarily the player that would sub.
That's
them,
fair.
But
Ooh, Katie O'Keefe says, what about the Avs? Just spread out the C. Or you keep the C warm. Do you believe in keeping the C warm?
No. Again, like, I guess, I don't know.
I feel like the Avs are a tough one because their captain is so important to them that it would feel weird.
Disrespectful or...
Yeah, like I feel like he's still kind of their captain even if he's not playing.
Like if they were like, Nate McKinnon, you can have the C, I think you would say no.
Yeah.
Keep it with Gabe.
I think you said anything to Nathan McKinnon, he would say no.
That's a good point.
That's
too.
just kind of his energy.
Unless you were like, "Hey,
do you hate your life?
Do you want a grape?" And he'd be like, "Yes."
Nathan McKinnon is a grape guy?
I don't know. He loves healthy things.
Well, now he does.
True.
And he used to be. He's got a dark past. He used to eat snacks. Crazy stuff. I did realize the other day that Radko Gudas made the leap from no letter to C. He didn't have a letter last year with the team because it was his first year with them. So like Mason McTavish, Troy Terry, those players already had A's, and they just got.
He raw dogged the C.
He just raw dogged the C, and he surpassed Cam Fowler famously. Cam Fowler shouldn't wear a letter.
Cam Fowler shouldn't wear a Ducks jersey.
I think that the reason Frank isn't wearing a letter is because they just don't know.
Don't know if he's going to be there.
I would still put it on him though.
Yeah, right.
Like I could be wrong. Like was Henrique wearing? Henrique had to have been wearing a letter for them.
I think so. I would imagine.
Guys with letters get traded.
Yeah, right.
Kyle Okposo,
Honestly,
a captain.
Hey, here's. I mean, like honestly, you might inflate his trade value. Other teams would look at Frank Vatrano, and if you're trying to trade him, be like, he's an A. He's very
especially
to our
if
team.
he wants to go to a team that is actively or not necessarily actively trying to trade their captain, but a lot of people aren't. Or no.
Are you talking about the Rangers?
Yeah, but yes.
Yeah, they're actively trying to trade.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are done with shows for the week, but tomorrow we will stream during the season premiere of the NHL. Your Buffalo Sabres will take on the New Jersey Devils in Sheldon Keefe's debut with the team in Praha, I believe O2 Arena. I've been there before, not to brag. Last time I was there, a team that played in the game won the cup that year. Devils or Sabres, who's got the better chance based on preseason? Very clearly the Buffalo Sabres. So we'll be going live at noon. Game will be at 1. We'll hang out for a bit. We'll watch the Sabres. We'll dress appropriately. It's going to be a great time. We'll talk to you then. Before we get out of here, subscribe if you have not yet. And Pete, press like.
Go to hell. Also comment on this video if you're watching after the fact. Our jersey guesses, because those have been flying in the past couple days and very fun to see what everybody thinks. Also, before you get out of here, please hit that like button. It's the thumbs up button right below the video player. We very much appreciate it if you spiked those likes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like DJ said, and we will see you tomorrow for the official start of the NHL regular season. Bye.
It's about honor. It's about respect. We all silly like the mayor.